So talking about prevalence, prevalence is the proportion of participants with disease at a particular point in time. So as we see in this slide, the point prevalence is number of persons with disease over the number of persons examined at baseline. Baseline, which means at the beginning of the study. So the next slide we'll do an example and we'll see how to find prevalence in different cases or situations. So in this example, as we can see on the table, we have men, women, and there's a total, and then we have free of cardiovascular disease, history of cardiovascular disease, and a total. So to find the prevalence of cardiovascular disease in general, as in men plus women, what we do here is the number of individuals that have cardiovascular disease. So here, as we're looking at our table, as we add men and women and looking at the history of cardiovascular disease column, we have 379. So which means out of the total of 3,799, 379 individuals have a history of cardiovascular disease. So to find the prevalence here will be 379 divided by 3799. But the next one, more specific for prevalence of cardiovascular disease in men. Now we're looking at the men, so let's look at the men that have a history of cardiovascular disease. So we have 244 men that have a history of cardiovascular disease over the total number of men, which is 1792. And for the women, for the prevalence of cardiovascular disease in women, so we look at the number of women that have a history of cardiovascular disease, which is 135, and we'll divide that by the total number of women in the study, which is 2007. So in this case, as we can see the differences here, when you're asked for the prevalence of cardiovascular disease in general, we're using the total number of individuals that are present in the study. However, when it becomes more specific, for example, the prevalence of cardiovascular disease in men, then we'll use the total number of men that are involved in the study.